Hey guys, this is Brian Mounts. I run turfmechanic.com. Today I'm making a video kind of in that in-between spring and winter time frame. I'm making this video today really for those of you out there who had a lawn last year that did not look good, nor was it really cared for. You probably never fertilized it. Maybe you didn't water it. You probably fell behind on mowing and you had a lot of weeds growing up tall. And now that winter is coming to an end, you probably have a lot of bare dirt showing here and there. It looks pretty thin. I want you to understand that if this describes you even a little bit, that you can have a great looking lawn. You start now and do very little. The thing is, you have to start now. And that's why I'm putting this video out before proper spring begins. Now, I'm not going to lie, there's a ton of other things that can take a good-looking lawn and turn it into a championship-looking lawn, but that's not what I'm going to go into in this video. This is truly for beginners, but it's going to make your lawn look like you actually do know a lot about what you're doing. I'm going to make some assumptions that you had weeds last year and you let them all go to seed. You let them get all overgrown and then eventually you cut them down when they were way too high and they had already dropped their seeds. That means that there are existing weeds in your lawn that probably germinated in the fall and have already started growing. You probably have some weeds, we call them winter weeds, that are currently green in your lawn right now. We're going to kill them first. Now, here on this channel, I do most things in my lawn naturally and organically, but not 100%. We're talking like 90% of the way. That's how I operate. One of the products that I use is an iron head-to product. Now, you can get this active ingredient in a number of different brands and products on the store shelves. What I'm going to suggest that you go buy today, you could purchase it on Amazon and have it delivered, or you could probably go down to your local big box store and find it. It's called Moss Out, and it's the kind that attaches to your hose. It's an iron head-to product, even in cold weather, so long as your daytime temperatures are getting up to 50, then you can spray it on the lawn, even if your lawn is dormant, and most of the winter weeds that exist are going to slowly die over the next 5 to 15 days. It doesn't take any equipment, and this product is quite cheap. Now, after you spray this product on the lawn, let's call it in mid-March, some of those winter weeds are going to be dying. The first week of spring is, like March 20th through the 27th or something like that. Around that time of year, most people, not everyone, but most people across the country are experiencing soil temperatures at 45 degrees or higher. That's important for lawn care because cool season grasses start coming out of winter dormancy when soil temperatures get up to about 45 degrees. Although your lawn may look very sparse, there's actually quite a bit of grass in there, some of it that you can't even tell is there. At this point is the only time, this is one of the few times on this channel that I recommend putting down a synthetic fertilizer on the lawn. A synthetic fertilizer, like ammonium sulfate, is going to be water soluble, and your grass is going to respond to it early in the season before other forms of fertilizer go to work. Traditionally, I would not be putting down ammonium sulfate on my lawn. You don't need to push early growth for lawns like you see behind me. You see way back there, it's actually still dormant back there. But if you neglected your lawn last year and we want to push growth from whatever grass happens to be there, we're going to be putting down a light dose of ammonium sulfate very early in the season, right at the start of spring. Now, do not do the maximum bag rate. You want to do a light dose because you probably don't have a ton of grass and your grass is just barely waking up from dormancy. Don't do this unless you start seeing a little bit of green in the lawn that you actually have. No matter how bad it looks, if there's a little bit of green in it after you kill off the winter weeds, then you can start putting down a small dose. Now, you can get much more specific with this next step, but we want to stop or prevent weeds now. So we've killed off the winter weeds, but now we want to prevent the weeds that are going to be coming later in the year. This is the time that we apply a product that we categorically call a pre-emergent. It stops weeds before they emerge. This is a kind of product that does not get put down on the lawn before soil temperatures get to 55 degrees. So if your lawn has a hint of green in it, we're going to put the ammonium sulfate down somewhere around, let's call it March 25th. And then somewhere around April 1st, about a week later, then you're going to go out and put down a product that uses the active ingredient prodiamine. Now, I recommend a granular product called Barricade. It's made by the Andersons Company. However, there are many brands out there that use prodiamine as its active ingredient. Prodiamine, once it goes onto the lawn, it's going to stop the rooting process of any seed that's germinating. What we're interested in here is stopping the weeds from germinating. So about a week prior, we've fertilized what grass happens to be there. It's going to start pushing growth. Bunch type grasses are going to thicken out. Rhizomatic grasses are going to start spreading out. And then we're going to stop the germination and the rooting process of the weeds. Prodiamine is going to act if you put full bag rate down. So if you follow the label instructions, it's going to stop the weeds really for probably about 6 months. That's going to take you all the way to the very end of summer. So long as you have a spreader, a cheap granular spreader, like the basic ones that you see, like the Scotts brands at Home Depot and Walmart, those work just fine. It's what I use almost every single time in my lawn. If you apply it correctly, you're going to stop the vast majority of weeds from germinating in your lawn. Now, it's not magic. Some of them will come up, but the vast majority won't. And with the fertilizer, our grasses are going to start spreading, thickening up, and starting to fill in those dirt gaps in the lawn. You can usually purchase products that contain prodiamine at local big box stores. However, there are some pretty nice versions of it online, and certainly the normal stuff, or the one that I use, can be purchased just on Amazon. So again, I will link to that down in the description below, but really your cheapest option is probably running down to your local big box store and seeing what they have. Now, usually what I also recommend somewhere around the 1st of April, maybe even a week later, is to then apply a really heavy dose of an organic nitrogen-based fertilizer that also contains potassium. So potassium is the third number. So you always see like, let's say 2510. So the 10 is potassium. The third number on the bag is the potassium. When we fertilize our lawn with potassium, it helps the lawn to be able to resist things like disease and drought and other sorts of wear and tear. It is very common to go to big box stores and find fertilizers that are almost all or 100% nitrogen, 2600, things like that. To have a lawn that's going to hold up to the summer, you really need to get some potassium into it, especially if you haven't been fertilizing it in prior seasons. Organic fertilizers are going to break down slower in the lawn and feed the lawn over a long period of time. What I truly recommend is a product from Lawnbox. Lawnbox has a product called Grass Genie. It is a 10:06. Got a very good ratio of potassium to nitrogen, and it doesn't contain phosphorus. Phosphorus is not normally needed in most lawns unless you're seeding or unless you're sodding or unless a soil test has showed that you're deficient in phosphorus. Grass Genie can be purchased on Amazon and some other websites. I've never seen it in a physical store. I will link to that down below. I use it myself in my lawn, and it's one of the products that I recommend more than anything else because of the ratio, potassium to nitrogen, and because it's a slow-release organic fertilizer. If we put that down with our same granular spreader in the early parts of April, it's going to feed our lawn slowly all the way to summer. We're talking 12 weeks or so. That's going to help continue the fertilization push that the ammonium sulfate did in the late part of March. Your lawn will continue to thicken throughout the spring. Now, this is the commitment that you have to make to your lawn. If you're going to do these things, you can't just cut the lawn every now and then. Cut the lawn 2 times every week, all the way until the end of June. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care how busy you are. You need to make the time to do this, because if you're not going to cut your lawn twice, then it's not worth doing any of these fertilization steps. Your lawn will be growing. Even if it is sparse and thin, what is there will be growing very quickly and vigorously. And the more you cut it, the more it will spread laterally, side to side, and the more it will thicken up. It's like pruning a tree. If you keep cutting the top, it's going to start growing wider. Same thing happens with the grass. Typically, you're going to be getting enough moisture in the lawn from Mother Nature through the course of spring. But if you are going through a dry stretch, please get out there with your hose, your sprinkler, turn on your irrigation system, figure out a way to get some water on the lawn. Usually you only need 3/4 of an inch to an inch of water on the lawn every single week. Most places are going to get that throughout the spring, and evaporative loss is going to be low enough that you're probably not going to have to worry about drought conditions in the month of April and May. By the time June rolls around, usually heat is high enough that you really have to dial in your watering, and at this point it's worth mowing your lawn a little bit less often. Let's call it once a week, and mowing it at the highest setting on your lawnmower. At this point, most of our fertilizers have taken effect, so we're not going to be pushing extra growth as we go into summer, so the grass isn't going to be growing as quickly either. Taller cut grass can usually hold up better to heat and drought conditions. And since we've got potassium in the lawn, it's going to hold up better than if we had only applied nitrogen through the spring. We're just making a few applications using a really cheap generic granular spreader, and then we're waiting for fall, because by the time fall rolls around, we'll be able to see where we actually have dirt patches in the lawn. At that point, your prodiamine, your weed preventative, will have worn off, and then you can go ahead and put grass seed down on those specific areas. Now, I do have videos about fixing bare spots in the lawn and overseeding the lawn. Those are going to be linked down in the description below. As a new lawn care enthusiast, I don't believe you should be looking to seeding a lawn of any kind in the spring. You should reserve that for September when conditions are better for that. I promise you that if you do these steps, your lawn is going to look ridiculous compared to what it did last year. You can do this. It's easy. And now watch this video up here all about early spring lawn care tips. Thank you very much.